Okay? We'll go on to pocket gophers. This is another animal that's nocturnal and stays underground. These guys are herbivores. They love roots. They love roots of fruit trees. Okay? They love roots of alfalfa. That's why farmers don't like them, ranchers and farmers, because they will take the alfalfa roots. And they're the ones that'll eat your bulbs. If your whole bulb is gone or half your bulb has been chewed, not just a small bite out of your bulb, it's pocket gophers. And they'll get it. So they're the ones that'll go underneath and pull that bulb down, okay? So if you're losing your bulbs in your garden, it's being eaten from below, it's the pocket gopher. Now these guys are bigger. They're about twice the size of a mole. They do have eyes that they use, even though they don't use them that much. They stay on the ground and they have these big claws, and they're called pocket gopher because they have these big teeth and they can chew the roots and put their lips in behind their front incisors. I can't do that because I don't have a diastesis. I don't have a space between my incisors and my molars. They love to be underground, just like the mole. Moles hate to be above ground and always move underground. These guys are the same thing. In fact, when I've caught these and to show students and put them on a table, they can't run because of their claws, because they're used to digging in the soil underground. They have to run their elbows. But they do come above ground occasionally, and they'll run across the street on their elbows. Okay. Again, they're showing the nice big teeth. And let me tell you, even if you wear a really good thick leather glove and you think you're safe, I can personally tell you, you'll get a stitch, okay? Because I've had it happen too many times. They can cut right through that with those. They're used to, you gotta remember, the roots of a fruit tree, or roots of any tree, are vascular. That's where all the starch and great stuff is. So I've had fruit trees that have the trunk is about this big. They're just starting to bear fruit. People bring them into me, and pretty much the ball, what might have been this big, when winter came on, and when they bring them to you, the root ball is only this big, and it's all eaten by pocket gophers over the winter. That's when they do most of that feeding. Now, these guys live in fairly good-sized colonies, and their holes are different. Their holes, the mole hole or mound, is only about 6 inches to a foot in diameter, and it's not higher than 6 inches. That's the mole. These guys, bigger than a foot, up to 2 foot in diameter, and it's usually higher than 6 inches. Plus, this dirt with these guys is very fine because they actually dig it and push it, dig it and push it. The mole pushes it up with its head. So the mole's mound is like coffee grounds. The pocket gopher's mound is a fan-shaped and it's finer. Okay. Plus, a mole hole, none of these leave open holes. They don't want light coming in, so they plug it, both of them. The mole is going to be conical, and the hole will be straight underneath it. The pocket gopher is pushing the dirt up from the side here, like this, and so the hole is not straight underneath it. It's a 45-degree angle this way, so most of the dirt's being pushed that way, and it's a 45-degree angle out this way, so predators can't get to them. They're a little smarter what they're digging, okay? Because for identification, we don't want to make a gopher mound out of a mole hole, or a mole mound out of a gopher mound, whatever the saying is, okay? But they're very different, okay? And knowing where this main run is very important, because this, between here and there, is about 18 inches. Usually when I dig these out, I feel the main run at my fingertips from my elbow. So I have to dig out this distance. And then and this is where you're going to place any traps or poison, is down here. Because if you put it here, they'll just push it right out. Okay, so this is just a side view and a top view. You can see with the pocket gopher, and again, these colonies can take several acres and be hundreds of pocket gophers. And they have little groups, and oops, sorry, hit the wrong button. So these are the mounds, but look where the main run is. And all the stippled area is all filled in with dirt. And where you want to place your traps or anything is here. And notice, so this is where they give, this is the first foot, this is the second foot. Here's where they give birth. Moles have one litter of about 4. I forgot to tell you this in May. These guys have a litter in about May, but it's a little bigger, probably up to 8 pups. But they have it down here in the nesting area. This is their cache. This is where they hide your bulbs and your roots of all the trees you love. Their food for the winter. And then they have an area with an L in it, that's here. It's a common latrine. So they all go there to do their job. One time I was doing work in a gopher with like 2 acres of gophers, and I was surprised. I took pictures of it, and I found out it's not that odd. But right in the middle, there was a mound that was about 1 meter high, 3 foot high, and it was half pocket gopher poop or scat mixed with dirt. And what they had done is in the spring, they cleaned out their latrine. Now, what I want to do, and I want to find a student, a master's student, who's willing to figure this out, how do they decide who in the colony cleans out the latrine? That's my big, is it the youngest male? Is it the one that left a hole open last week? Okay, clean out the latrine. How do they do that? And inquiring minds want to know. If anybody can answer that for me, got a job for you. Okay, so again, but why is as they're going through these areas, they're going. Now, if they go through a turf area when they're moving from point A to point B, turf does not have food for them. But you can imagine if they're putting a mound that's 2 foot in diameter and 1 foot high, they're putting these big mounds of dirt on your grass. And that's very disconcerting. What you can do, as soon as you see it, scrape that dirt off, and all there'll be is about a 3-inch hole that's plugged. Put a little grass seed there, and they probably won't come back. Because when they're going through turf, if there's no bulbs or fruit trees, they're just traveling through, and they probably won't come back. So you'll see these mounds in the turf. Oops, didn't get that one in there. Okay, so when we put traps in, we're going to want to put these traps, and this trap's called Maccabee trap. It hits their stomachs. And what you do is you dig this out with a trowel, and you put a trap on this side, a trap on that side, and then you plug this with soil. And I usually put a chain between the 2 snap traps. You can use snap traps in there. And no bait, because they travel through here, and if they don't see light, they won't push soil. If they see light, they'll push soil and push the trap right out. And if you're going to use the poison peanuts, you do the same way. You can break into the tunnel here. Remember, you're not in between. And then you drop your food in, or your bait, and then you plug this with soil. And then they'll find that, feed on it, and succumb from that. Okay. So the best way with them, and if you have acres, say you have big acres, they do sell what they call a burrow maker. It has a hopper where you can put several pounds of this bait, which is ZP rodent bait, which is like poison peanuts. And what it does, you cross these tunnels, and it makes a burrow. It goes on a 3-point hitch on a tractor, and it drops wherever there's a space. So when it crosses these, it drops the poison out. And then it keeps on going, and it drops it out to the next one. So if you have like acres to do, you would use that. Now, if you have alfalfa fields or a crop, read the label directions. There is a period you have to wait before you can harvest or have cattle or steers feed on that product after you put the poison out. Okay, and it depends on the poison, and it depends on the label. Any questions about pocket gophers? Okay.
So Dennis.
Yes.
There's some question about where the pocket gopher traps went and the poison went. Can you
Okay,
go back to that?
Sure, I can go back to that. Okay, for our audience across the state, what you're going to do is you're going to open up this area, and put a trap here and a trap here. So if it comes from either way, it'll get caught. And then you're going to put a string or chain between the traps and anchor it up top so they don't go away with it. And then you're going to plug this here with soil or newspaper so there's no light coming in. The gopher is going to hit the trap, and so you have this trap so it snaps this way, and this trap so it snaps that way. So either way, it gets snap trapped. And they have a thing called a Maccabee trap, which gets them in the lungs. And so there. If you're using poison, the best thing is to find the main, like here. So you're going to dig down here or dig down here with just using a rod, drop your poison in, plug it up again, and then they'll come through, eat that poison. You don't want to put the poison here or come in through the top, because if they see light, they'll push dirt in front of their face and push the poison, the trap, and the dirt out. Okay, I've seen that happen too many times. Now, the burrow digger, you just drive it across, and when it intersects, it drops the poison. That goes onto a tractor. Okay? So if there's any more questions from across the state on that, I can go over it again.